sneeze.
Don't laugh at me, I'm self-conscious.
I sneeze. I'm not joking.
Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be ranking all 8 of the Spider-Man films from worst to best in my opinion. I recently rewatched all of them. Sorry about this ugly background. We're working with what we got. Okay, coming in at number 8, we have Spider-Man 3. So this is a part of the Toby Maguire trilogy, all directed by Sam Raimi, and listen, I know these hold a special place in some people's hearts, but have you watched them recently? Because specifically in Spider-Man 3, there is just way too much going on. Way too much going on. There's literally a plot following the development of Venom, the second Green Goblin with Harry Osborn. Then you have the relationship issues going on between MJ and Peter. You've got bad Peter because of the symbiote, freaking Sandman. It's just way too much. And none of it is good enough to be convoluted in there with everything. It's just not there. It's too much. Too much going on. And I don't appreciate it. There was nothing really in this that I really latched onto or enjoyed at all. There was one part that made me so angry. Just unbelievably angry. And so this is in the beginning third of the movie. The whole city loves Spider-Man. They're throwing him, you know, parades, making toys for him, and they're having this big celebration of Spider-Man. And MJ is there, she's supporting her mans, and he gets up on stage, and he's accepting praise and whatnot, and Gwen Stacy asks if she can kiss him for the press, you know, like it'll be a cool press moment. Cha-ching. Wrong. What Gwen Stacy doesn't know is that Peter's girlfriend... Wait, are they married at this point? No, I think they're dating. But she's literally in the audience and she's watching. And he says yes! He's like, sure, why not? It'll be great. No! No! He kisses another girl in front of his girlfriend. And it blew my mind. I was sitting there like... The original Spider-Man trilogy, Peter Parker is just like not that likable at all. He's not likable, which kind of then takes away from the film, because why do I want to root for a character that I don't like? You know? Okay, moving on to lucky number 7. We have The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The exact same problem as Spider-Man 3. There is just way too much going on. I don't know what it is about Sony, but they get it into their head that it's gonna be a really good idea to introduce like a billion villains in one movie and introduce plots that haven't been talked about before. So in Amazing Spider-Man 2, we have Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, who I don't mind. I like him. I'll talk about him more later. But they introduce freaking Electric guy, whatever his name is, Electro or something. He's a villain in this. But then there's also Harry Osborn, which was not talked about in the first movie at all. No Green Goblin prior to this. None of that. It's all introduced in this one film, including the friendship of Peter and Harry. So, again, what? And then we also have the relationship issues going on between Peter and Gwen, because he keeps like trying to push her away, but then at the same time is like, no, like, come here. Then you also have a bunch of stuff going on with Peter trying to figure out what happened to his father and to his parents, and so there's this whole subplot going on with that as well. Then the Rhino gets introduced at the end. It's just so much. And then, spoiler alert, they kill Gwen Stacy. So like, all of those plot points put into one movie, it was never gonna work, Sony. I don't know what you were thinking. It was just way too much going on. Yeah, I don't really have much to say good about this one. I do like Gwen Stacy, I like Emma Stone, I like Andrew Garfield, I like their relationship, so that's good. Props for the director being named Mark Webb. I got a little chuckle out of that. You know, the credits roll and I'm like, did they plan that? Was that on purpose? But other than that, bad. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man. I know this is going to probably piss a lot of people off, because for some reason everybody loves that original trilogy, but guys, have you seen it recently? Because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't hold up. Mad respect for what this movie accomplished. This movie kind of paved the way for comic book movies and for superhero movies, so mad respect for what it accomplished. I was not that into the drawn out timeline of it because it starts off with Peter graduating high school and continues to jump throughout the early stages of his life, you know, like him becoming a freelance photographer, going to college, all this stuff. And it's a long time span that this is taking place. But I think if it had been focused more on a smaller amount of time, maybe I would have gotten into it more, connected with it more, but it just felt too all over the place with where we were and what's happening. My biggest complaint with the Toby Maguire trilogy is, besides not really liking Toby Maguire as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker, is their use of MJ in these movies. She is just, I mean, it's like she's classic damsel in distress character. She doesn't really get to do anything other than that, you know? She doesn't have any moments where she's the smart one that figured something out or made up. Okay, sorry about that. My camera shut off. What was I saying? I like the Green Goblin. You weren't actually talking about the Green Goblin there, Megan. I hate to break it to you. You were talking about how the first Spider-Man trilogy is kind of sexist. But since you got cut off, I guess I'll just say, yeah, I don't know. I didn't enjoy how her character was used. I thought she was just a plot device, a pretty face, and somebody to fall and scream so that Spider-Man can catch her. And I didn't like that. And that's the tea, sis. Okay, carry on about the Green Goblin. I liked that there was just one villain. I liked that it was put throughout the movie. You could see it developing. Good stuff. That was good. But overall, not a huge fan of the movie. Sorry. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have Spider-Man 2 with Toby Maguire. This one was a lot of fun. It was very much like a comic book. So I liked that about it. The train scene alone makes it worth it to watch this movie. That scene was really, really good, really well done. This one definitely had better pacing than the first one, I would say. I also really liked Doc Ock as the villain. I think that character is really strong, and I really liked the way Sam Raimi added these almost like horror elements to him, so that was really good. But I still am not buying into MJ and Toby's relationship. It doesn't work for me. I also still don't really like Toby Maguire as Spider-Man. I think he does fine when he's in the suit, but his Peter Parker is just not, it's not where I would want it to be. J. Jonah Jameson is definitely the best part of this movie and just like all 3 of this trilogy. He is so funny and I love him. I am so glad that they brought him back for the new Spider-Man movies because I don't know who else they would get to play J. Jonah Jameson. because he's phenomenal. So, but overall, this movie's still just kind of like, if it's on, I'll watch it, I'll have a good time, but I don't think I would necessarily go out of my way to watch this one or any of the ones before this. Okay, now we're getting into my top tier list. So coming in at number 4, we have The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. This movie was way better than I remembered it being, like way better than I remember it. It was a lot of fun. I really, really like Andrew Garfield's performance, and Emma Stone. I think they were both really well cast. They have great chemistry. They work really well off of each other. Andrew Garfield is a really fun Spider-Man, and Peter Parker, he's kind of like edgy, almost, but he's also really dorky. This one had a way better representation of female characters. Gwen Stacy is smart. She is never really the damsel in distress. She helps Peter out at the end of the movie with the final act. She's all like a really well-rounded character, and she is never used for Spider-Man's benefit. So I really liked that. I think they were really presented as equals, and that overall makes the movie better, and I buy into their relationship more. You know, I see why they like each other. This one was also really good because it had just one very good villain. It didn't have a bunch of villains going on. It just had the lizard guy going on. Yeah, he was really good. I liked the setup of that villain, the way he's connected to Peter. The CGI held up pretty good on it. Yeah, it was sad, spoiler alert, when Gwen's dad died. I will say though, when I was like doing my research for this video and for these movies, and I noticed that this movie came out the same year as The Avengers, I was a little confused. Like, don't get me wrong, I like this movie, but like, it is not even close to on par with The Avengers, and they came out in the same year. I'm just saying, like, it's crazy that those came out in the same year. I don't know why, that just doesn't make sense in my brain, but whatever. But yeah, overall, I really liked this movie. This is one that I would watch again. It was a lot of fun, and it was good. So yeah. Okay, we're getting into my top 3. So coming in at number 3, we have Into the Spiderverse. This movie is mind-blowingly good. Like, I remember seeing advertisements for it and thinking it looked really good, but when I saw it in theaters, it blew me away. It's really amazing. The animation is beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. It looks just like a comic book. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love this movie. I had to knock it down a little bit because it is animated, and I feel like that can't necessarily compete with a live action movie. I would love if they made a live action Miles Morales story. I think that would be so cool because I love Miles Morales. I think his story is really cool. And I think they could easily, with the way they've set up this Spiderverse, they could easily bring him into live action through that, and I think that would be phenomenal. I think they should go in that direction. Jake Johnson is also hilarious in this movie. He plays Peter Parker, or one of the Peter Parkers that appears in this movie, and he is so funny. Like, all of his scenes crack me up so much. He is so funny, and with his like beer gut and his sweats, so good, so good. The soundtrack for this movie is also so good. It is so well produced. It fits into the movie really well. It vibes the movie really well. Ew, did I say vibes? Yeah, overall this movie's just really aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful. I think everyone should watch it, and I can't wait for the sequel. Okay, we're at number 2, guys. Okay, so my number 2 movie is Spider-Man Homecoming. Wow, who saw this coming? I absolutely love Tom Holland as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. I think he is by far and away the best cast Peter Parker and Spider-Man, not only because he looks the right age, but he just has the Peter Parker down. So Tom Holland is the perfect Peter Parker by far in my mind. This is also the first Spider-Man movie that's a part of the MCU, and I'm a huge MCU fan. I think what Kevin Feige has developed with the MCU is insane. The magnitude of it and the connectivity of it is insane. So to have Spider-Man come into that was so exciting. I was so excited when he came in during Civil War. This was the first Spider-Man movie to skip the origin story. Thank God. They knew that we had seen a bajillion Spider-Man origin stories before this, and they were like, you know what, we're gonna save you the trouble. Everyone knows what happens. Gets bit by the spider, Uncle Ben dies, responsibility, blah, 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 blah. They were like, let's just skip it. Let's just skip over it, and I love that they did that. It saved so much time, and you really got to see... You just got to start with Spider-Man. You know, you didn't have to wait half the movie to get there. My camera shut off again. That's kind of funny. What was I saying? I will never forget sitting in the theater and watching the scene for the first time where you realize that the Vulture is Liz Allen's father. That blew my mind. They set that up so well. I didn't see it coming at all. And I swear the whole theater just, their jaws dropped. Like, we were all just like... And the car ride scene to the dance with the lights on the faces and stuff, oh my god, it was so good. That whole movie is just so good. The soundtrack is really good. It's A1. A1 movie. Love it. I've seen it a billion times. It's so good. Never gets old. Oh my gosh, Tony Stark is in it. I forgot about that. Tony Stark is in it. Iron Man is in the movie. That alone, like, what? Such a good movie. I love their relationship. I love Iron Man being a sort of father figure to Peter. It's something we've never really seen before, and it makes sense. And then it also, I love that they introduced Tony Stark as a figure in Peter Parker's life, because then it finally makes sense how he gets this high-tech suit and this high-tech stuff. Like in the other Spider-Mans, how are they getting these really nice suits? How are they making this stuff? I don't understand. They don't have the money for that. Like, it finally makes sense when you introduce Tony Stark, so love that. Overall, I love the movie. I can't think of anything bad to say about it. I guess the only thing I can think of is it's kind of small scale, but I honestly like that about it, because it makes sense. He's young, he's still learning how to be Spider-Man, so it makes sense that it's on a smaller scale, but yeah, love the movie. Okay, and my number one Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie, oh my god. I could talk about this movie for hours, so I'll try and squash my thoughts down, but I love this movie so much. I think it's, from start to finish, amazing. So good. So good. I love the concept of the European field trip, getting to see Spider-Man in some place that isn't New York, seeing him in all these famous cities was genius, because it's just so much more variety. You get to see so much more. It's also so funny. The movie is hilarious. Not the entire time, but for a lot of it, it's very funny. I am a huge Zendaya fan, so to see her have a larger role in this one was amazing, and I really like her portrayal of MJ. She, like Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man, she's a strong female character, and she very much has her strengths, and she helps Peter with, finding out what's going on with Mysterio, figuring that stuff out, and she's never the damsel in distress necessarily, so I really like her, and I love their relationship. I think Zendaya and Tom Holland have really good chemistry, and so I totally buy into their relationship. It makes sense. I really like how innocent and cute it is, because they're high schoolers, so they're gonna be awkward about it, so I love that. We have to talk about Jake Gyllenhaal. The fact that Jake Gyllenhaal is in a Spider-Man movie is so cool. I just love how big the MCU has become, that everybody wants to be a part of it. Jake Gyllenhaal is a fantastic villain. He was funny and snarky, and but you also see where he's coming from. Like with the Vulture, you see how he gets there. Even though he is kind of crazy, you see why he does what he does, so it makes sense. You know, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. Even though I knew going in that he was going to be the villain because it was kind of obvious, I still really liked the reveal of how they did it. The scene where, well, it happened a couple times, but you know, the scene where he has Peter trapped in this virtual mind trick thing. So good. The visuals in that are insane, and it has you like sitting on the edge of your seat the entire time. And when the train hits Peter, like, oh my god, that scene alone makes that film. It is so good. I really, really hope they bring Jake Gyllenhaal back in some way. I hope he's not dead, because I would love to see Mysterio come back into the plot somehow. And, oh, girl, the end credit scene of this movie, well, the mid-credit scene of this movie was the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely. Like, it's so upsetting. You end the movie on such a happy note. I was like, wow, this like wrapped up really nice. Me and my friends were like, wow, that was such a good movie. And then the freaking mid-credit scene comes in and ruins everything with the reveal that now everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and that he's a fugitive. Like, they really set up the next movie to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. They brought in J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. It's, wow. It is also good. I'm so excited. I can't praise that movie enough. I love it. I've seen it so many times. So yeah, that is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and that was my ranking of all 8 Spider-Man films. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and please let me know in the comments what your ranking is. I'm sure it's probably different than mine. I'm sure people will probably be upset with me, but listen, in the wise words of Eugene from the Try Guys, I'm right, you're wrong, shut up. Okay? Bye! Oh wait, I forgot to say subscribe. Subscribe! I can't speak.